Good afternoon. My name's Dennis Henning, and this is
Toni Parada.
We're doing My Opinion, You're Welcome. Created it so that people could just say what they want about what they want, stick with their opinions. Doesn't matter if someone likes it or not. It's our opinion. Join us, jump in, give us your opinion, whatever it is. But My Opinion, You're Welcome is based upon education, personal life, and having a lot of fun.
And a lot of opinions.
A lot of what?
Opinions!
I thought you just said a lot of pegging.
Yeah, well, you're not hearing me today at all for whatever reason.
Scotland. I literally thought you just said pegging. I'm like, oh, back to that. Well, welcome to whatever the fuck this is called.
Isn't this one, My Opinion?
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
There you go.
My Opinion, go fuck yourself. It's one or the other. I'm
How
not
you doing,
sure.
Tom?
Hi, baby.
Nice to see you.
God, I can't get over your skin.
I don't know what to say other than thank you. So how are you?
I'm awesome. So much going on in the world today. I couldn't wait to get here because I got a lot to yell about.
Yeah? Well, let's start it. Yell at something.
Okay, so my favorite thing I saw all week was Wanda Sykes was doing stand-up, and I quote, "Unless a drag queen walks in a classroom and beats 8 children to death with To Kill a Mockingbird, you got other shit to worry about." I love her so much.
No?
So much.
Did she say that specifically to the state of Tennessee?
No, or
fucking
Florida.
idiot.
Florida.
It's so sad that people actually believe that. It's something I wanted to bring up today, too. We talk about religion. You think about this. Religion is man-made. It really is. And you think about all these people, they want to do what God wants. They want to live God's life, but they're willing to say something like that. They're not willing to address other issues. And I don't really think there's ever been someone who's cross-dressed or a drag queen or anything that's ever been convicted of murder or convicted of molesting or any of these things that we've seen. Now, what you do in your private life is your private life. But when they want to single out individuals, and if you look at the community, look at the people behind the community, look at the ones who are always having something to say. Many of them, I like these Christians out there saying, that homosexuality is wrong. How many of these priests for years, or not priests, pardon me, preachers have been arrested for sexually molesting children or having sexual relationships with a man? It doesn't matter if you do, it's okay. How many of these people got divorced? If you're going to live the Bible, the Bible's written by men. Let's get real.
Right,
and
it's
an interpretation, but it's easy for people to interpret what somebody else says and take that as gospel rather than think for themselves.
Well, and I think any religion who wants to gun you down because you're not of the same beliefs, that's not a religion I want to be with.
Well, I think the only religion, well, I was to say the Mormons, but they killed a lot of people under the name of Smith. But every religion had their wars. If you think about it, nowadays, people think there's no religious wars. Look at some of these countries where women can't show their hair. Or they want to do body mutilation, or it's just amazing. This is all based upon God, on Allah, whoever you believe in. There's nothing wrong, whoever you choose. But I think also in our society, this is something that amazes me, and I want your opinion. We have so many different groups out there. Just like I say, you have the drag queens. You have the people that want to be called me, he, she, they, whatever. Okay, so they want acceptance. And if somebody doesn't agree with them, the first thing they do is they attack that person. So how is somebody you're attacking going to ever see your point of view?
Right.
And that's the tough part. Everybody's been victimized. Many people more than other people. Races, women, different things. People come to the United States and they don't realize you can't bring your culture from other countries, like these honor killings. There was back in the Midwest or in the West, I can't believe about 3 or 4 months ago, a father and son went to prison or got convicted of killing the daughter. And they had no remorse. This is what we do. Well, first of all, she was born here. The son was born here. You've only been here maybe 30-something years. But when you're trying to get people to believe what you believe or accept you, and you ridicule and you shame them, now, like I said before last time, white supremacists don't give a shit about it. Those people deserve it. Right. But you have to understand, people aren't going to accept us. So what do? We move forward. And this whole crap about these shows and people getting crazed, it's the most unrealistic way of looking at another person. Because think about it. Here's a good one. People don't like gay marriage. Okay? Every straight one of you motherfuckers that's married should never be allowed to get a divorce. You think about that. If that was the case in this country,
marriage,
half the people that are married would never be married.
Many years ago, early 80s, I don't remember if I said this last time, but if not, whatever, I'm saying it. I was in this bathroom in London, and this like it seemed like an old castle or whatever, and I'm sitting there doing my business, and I'm looking out the window, and right by the window, real small, was written, "Fighting for peace is like fucking for virginity." Thank you. 40 some odd years later, I never forgot that. I think that's brilliant. I think that's what a lot of people are doing.
I was just going to ask, what the fuck were you doing in Scotland?
No, I actually won a trip to England.
Oh, it
many
was
years
England?
ago.
England or Scotland?
London is in England, and that's where I was.
What?
And I didn't take the
Do I look
driving package because I'm
geographically fucking
dyslexic
challenged?
anyways. I knew better than to fucking drive. We're on the right
I
wrong
swear
side
to
of the
God,
road.
I heard
Yeah.
you say Scotland.
Did I say Scotland?
Yes, you did. Don't ask them. We'll play this shit back. You said Scotland, yeah.
Either way, it
Like
was
you
England.
said last
but-
time, you don't know.
Yeah.
So say that saying again, slower.
Fighting for peace is like fucking for virginity. And then you do a big circus bow because, I mean, that's pretty profound.
You think about that. Isn't it funny now? It's funny how guys and girls are when we talk about sex. So many guys like, I'd like to be your first guy. Really? How bored are you going to be? If someone doesn't have sex before, they don't really know what they're doing. It's always amazing. Like
That's why they want to find a virgin, so she don't know how bad he is.
Well, there's 100 of them, I think, in heaven when you get there, if you're believing in other things. But, the reality is it's when people talk about sex, it's like, I always find, have you ever had a one-night stand?
Perhaps. Oh, my God.
Double digits or more than 3 digits?
I went through some crazy years from 1985 to 89.
And the answer would be, please answer the question.
A lot.
Okay. And you think about it, one-night stands, I always think it's funny when
I can't believe I just said that.
one of the persons actually says, I've not done this before. I didn't ask. I didn't ask you to tell me what you did before. I just want to have a good time. And then I always love when people say, a one-night stand, there's no problem with it. I get over it. I know guys as well as girls, they didn't get over what they didn't call it. It was a one-night stand.
A one-night stand is it's exercise. It's indoor sports. That you can discuss with your girlfriends. Length, girth, this, that, bing, bang, 2 pumps and a squirt, whatever. But now relationships, you take to the grave. Even if you've broken up with the person, it was bad, you don't talk about that stuff. That's the law.
What fucking law are you talking?
That's my law.
Okay, your law. I was going to say, is that like an Italian thing or what the fuck? Because I know a lot of you Italians that badmouth everybody.
It's tacky to talk about somebody you've been with unless it
Oh,
was
yes, I
unless
agree.
it was just exercise.
No, I agree. Yeah, because you don't know where that person's at. Like we talked about my friend, the dog, Toby, and the person. Never speak because who knows what she's doing, where she's at, her life. Hopefully it's great, everything's fine. You never know what they've ever told somebody. So you just leave it alone. But there are a lot of people, and especially guys. Girls, you guys can do it too. I'm amazed how many guys say, well, she just didn't do that, she didn't do that, And I'm like, have you seen the common fucking denominator? The last 4 relationships.
And what you think
douche,
about me,
it's you.
What you think about me is not my business. What you think about, the minute I can stop worrying about what the fuck you're thinking about me, that's freedom.
But isn't that hard, though? Think about that, honestly.
I just like to think that I'm not that interesting. Nobody's fucking talking about me. Nobody's thinking about me.
Well, see, that's when you're fucking delusional, because a lot of people talk about you.
Oh, shit,
Well, you
I'm
think
sure.
about it.
Have you seen that crazy lady lately?
Have you seen the compression socks?
Exactly.
She's
and the
a 10
bonnet,
out of 12.
And the bonnet. Oh, my God. I'm going back to the pool tomorrow. I get to wear my bonnet.
Oh, speaking of the pool, you're putting yourself in that traumatic situation again with, hold on, this is Tony, and I'm the white guy.
They're just self-entitled. They're lane hoggers. They're lane hoggers with women. They don't do it to other men. They do it with women. You're not fucking pushing me over, bitch. I was here first. I love calling a man a bitch. I think it's the best.
What does that do for you?
Because he's acting like a bitch.
Okay, what's your definition of a bitch?
That's some fucking whiny, pushy, wah.
Did you say pushy or pussy?
Ding, ding, ding. D, all of the above.
It's it's so true. When you look at that, I've never had a drink at Starbucks in my life. Unfortunately, I went in to get something the other day, and this guy's standing there, and he's standing just like this. And I said, excuse me, sir. He goes, I'm waiting. I said, did you order, sir? He said, yes. I said, well, you pick it up at the end. They're bringing it here. I was like, well, how about if you
Captain
move
Douchebag.
so I can
Captain
get my water? And he would not budge. And he was just your typical Orange County guy that literally thought that he was going to get what he wanted. And they kept calling his name at the other end, and it was quite funny. And he finally realized he was defeated.
Yeah.
So he walked down there, and all he did was cuss out all these young kids that were working at Starbucks doing their job. And it's kind of like...
And they're all going in the back room laughing their asses off talking about him.
Oh, what they did is they went and they looked at the cameras and they put it all on TikTok or Instagram. Like, here's the bitch from fucking Orange County. So now
and come back again so I can lick your cup.
Lick your what?
Cup.
See, I'm hearing words. I thought I heard Scotland. I thought I just heard cock.
Come back so I can lick your cock and you were just a dick. What universe does that exist in?
Now, see, Starbucks would, if they sold that, it'd be fantastic. Think about it. Just think about it. It's like anything you want, you just have delivered to you.
You lick your cock delivered. What? Sold what? Lick a cock? What are you saying? If Starbucks sold
I'm not the one that fucking said that. If you'd let me finish, I'd fucking, you'd hear this genius thought. I can't remember where I was going. Let's continue here. But you have all these different, oh God, now you lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Let's do something. I brought so many things to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So do you want to talk about life other than Earth?
Oh, fucking A. It's so funny what he said. Fuck me, Mary, Mother, Lord of Jesus. Somebody commented about that I got the story wrong. It was a fucking joke, you idiot. I know that Mary is not the mother of God. Anyhow, go ahead.
I just did a plane just fly by. So.
It's probably one of your spy planes, but yes.
Well, fact that all the heads of all the nations were meeting in Antarctica for like a secret meeting, and religious heads. Why are they there?
Okay.
Something's under that fucking ice.
You got
Something's
this from, you got this information from
TikTok. Where else do I get shit from?
So do you actually believe, I'm being dead serious, all joking aside, you actually believe all the heads of the states, all the religious heads are meeting in Antarctica for what?
Something with life other than here. And I've heard they have like a secret tunnel that you can get from like the States to Europe in like an hour. Aliens have been meeting. You're
not embarrassed to say this?
Absolutely not.
Wait,
you're not embarrassed to say you think this is the only life in the universe?
I never said that. No, wait. There's a tunnel from the United States. Well, first of all,
it's secret.
It's secret. It's secret because there's a lot of water in between. I don't know about you, but isn't there like in San Francisco, between Oakland and San Francisco, isn't there like something that goes underwater? That looks really fucking stupid.
I don't know.
There's a train or something that goes in a tunnel. Or wait, is that France that goes from England to France?
Under the English Channel.
Yeah. I don't know why it's called the English Channel. Do you know why?
This is 2024. 23. And we still don't know how they built the fucking pyramids.
You don't know what year it is, so why in the fuck am I going to listen?
They don't know how they built the pyramids. They still haven't figured that out. So if they can build the pyramids, why can't they build a tunnel that goes on? Let me tell you something. Presidents have made deals with other life forms and said you can only take a few people. You can't take a lot. They've made deals with them.
Which president do you believe did this?
I think this
in
goes
your
back,
circle of friends.
I think this goes all the way back to Truman.
Okay. All right. Well, we can go with that. I mean, I'm just, you know what? You never know. So anything that we talk about could be true.
Dennis, you know that there was actually a UFO that the government is actually looking into, and they have spoken about it.
Yes, I saw that. But see, that's something that's not fictional.
No, wait a minute. Okay, riddle me this. Okay,
and
when I was laid up about 5.5 years ago.
Riddle you this?
5.5 years ago, I couldn't even get to a TV. I was just laying in bed, looking on my phone, looking at videos on YouTube. And I discovered there's a region in Nepal called the Upper Mustang region. And they have sky caves. Mm-hmm. There's a flat surface, and there are caves hundreds of feet in the air.
Yes.
Okay, so how the fuck did the people get up and down? How did they go to the bathroom? How did they eat? And I watched so many videos on this, and I finally found a local that said, well, the llamas just flew. Now, not the llamas, these llamas, like Dalai Lamas, like sacred holy men. Well, they just flew. How else can you explain those caves? And so many of them are still unexplored because you're not allowed to bring, what do you call them there? The things that fly around.
People
drones.
In reality? No. What are you not allowed?
Drones to that area, yeah.
It could be true.
It's fascinating.
It's a great story. It's kind of, okay, let me ask you a question. Do you believe the Bible?
Some of it.
Do you believe it's an amazing story?
It's an amazing story.
And that's where people base their faith off. I've had different discussions with different organizations, people, Christian, Catholic, everybody's Christian. But
the Old Testament, I can't.
Well, you think about it, it doesn't do anything to support women.
No, and and sacrifice your son, this and that. The
How
only
about
thing
Moses?
I really liked was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Other than that, I don't really like the Bible story.
Donny Osmond. How pathetic is that? Casey and the Sunshine Band. Okay, back to here. Well, it's interesting about the Bible when people literally read it word for word. I mean, and you think about men wrote it, it was translated, but when people nowadays say, like what you're talking about, there were people say there's something wrong with you. There's demonic to believe that. Look, I believe that there's all kinds of things that are possible. I'm not too sure about, a tunnel from here to, Europe. I don't know.
There's other dimensions that we are not aware of. I think there's things going on right now that we're just not aware of.
But okay,
but
you come up with that.
We're three-dimensional.
But how do you come up with that?
Have you ever not felt something or seen something like otherworldly?
Explain otherworldly though. That's not a.
Like a cold draft and no windows open. Like a kid pointing at something and laughing. Like something being knocked over. Like alarms going off.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you explain that?
I don't look to explain it. It just happens.
That's otherworldly. That's something else.
Well, that's a good way.
I had a ghost when I lived in Hollywood for a while. And there were 4 other adults in the room. So it's not just me.
Are these your friends that you had the last time who are zeroing in from Michigan or wherever the fuck they were?
My daughter was very young, and I couldn't get a sitter, and I had my 2 friends, Mark and Cleve, come and stay with her. And I get a call.
Mark and who?
Cleve.
Cleve? Mm-hmm. Just want to make sure
I
I heard the
name right.
They've
been together over 30 years. They're fabulous. Anyways, so they call me at the restaurant. Your kid's having an allergic reaction. I go give her a Benadryl, and then they call me back. It's bad. So I get home, and she looks like fucking Rocky Balboa. The eyes swollen shut. The whole thing. I call poison control. My roommate at the time comes in. Bip-bip-bop. So you got 4 pretty sane adults in the room. So I'm on the phone with poison control, and they said, has anything new come in? I go, the only thing I could think of is her dad had given her this huge stuffed animal. He goes, get it out, vacuum everything, the air, everything. And now prior to this, we've had little noises, alarms going off, things happening in the house, cold air, whatever. So I put it in a big plastic bag, put it in a closet door, shut the closet door. Bink, it's shut. So we're all relaxed and the kid's fine, this and that. And I go, maybe it wasn't the stuffed animal after all. That fucking closet door popped open so hard, it slammed against the wall, and the stuffed animal in the bag went flying across the room. I said, well, then again, maybe that is it.
Well,
now, you tell
see, someone with my mind would think it's probably the hinges on the door.
That just go whoosh and bang so
and the
hard.
Wind, yeah.
Oh.
Now, stuff like that, I truly believe it's like when my mother passed away, my brother and I were there with her, and we kept looking at her to see her breathing. Mm-hmm. And even though you could barely hear her, you knew it, but the last breath could be visualized. And I'm looking, and I just was like, it was like, wow, because you see this stuff, you hear about this stuff, and you could just see the correlation with the body, the chest a little, and then it stopped, and you could just see a breath. And it just was like, wow, I mean, for whatever reason. But no, I truly believe anything can be possible. Right, to what degree? I think the hardest part when people come up with conspiracy theories, when people come up with something, they make them so fucking exaggerated you can't. I mean, like a tunnel, And you think about this here. When
that comes out, I am fucking calling you, no matter if it's 20 years from now. I'm going to be like, Dennis, right? Okay.
Well, you look at you look at the different places that they can't figure out how they were done in other countries. And it's like, you can't figure it out. Like you said, you can't rebuild the pyramids. Think about it with all the
precision that was used
it's
thousands of years ago.
Look at the Aztecs where they built their cities. How the hell did they do that? And they're still preserved. I mean, you're supposed to go to
Machu Picchu,
whatever those things are. And yeah, you were going to see some wonderful things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's different. Here in the United States, like you said about ghosts, we were younger. I had a great grandmother. Her name was Adeline. She was from Portugal. She was one mean fucking lady. She was hilarious. And talked about her earlier. She hated my godfather named Charlie. She would get up and she put our clothes out. And sometimes our clothes would be there. And we're like, well, thank you. She goes, I didn't do it. And we were kids. I was like, oh, fuck, who did it then? And to the day she passed away, she said she never put some of these things out for us. So things, I mean, it was kind of weird. It's like, you ever see Dark Shadows?
Yeah, I used to run home from Catholic school to watch it.
Well, I used to sit in the living room and have my mom and my grandmother, now I think I was a sophomore in high school, walk me to the bathroom because Barnabas Collins was in the other room and going to fucking attack me. There ain't no such thing as a real vampire. You know, I mean, there are people who think they are, and they suck blood in many different ways. Could be pleasurable. People dress up. But, I mean, let's get real. You know, so yeah, I think that, you know, our minds really play a huge trick. What is your mind? Is there a trick that your mind plays on you daily or ritualistically during the day, or food, or when you see somebody or something that you think that, shit, this happens all the time?
I don't think so. I don't have any weird goings on in this apartment, but I've been in places where there are. But this one, so far, no.
It's all true. You know, it's like the eeriest place. When my mother passed away, I went to the funeral parlor. Wow. Been around for 90-something. You walk in that door and you just feel the energy of death. And it was like, I walked in this chapel and I looked around and I was like, oh, fuck, there's only me and my mom in here. It made me nervous. And I sat down and said whatever I needed to say. But the whole time when I got outside, I just like shook my body because it's just, so those things I do believe exist. There's a lot of, you know, people believe their body, you know, all those different things.
I felt that at the Alamo. I was taking this tour.
Oh, I thought you meant when you were there.
Yeah, with Custer, we were hanging out. Yeah. No, so it was this tour, and we're in this little room, and all of a sudden, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was so overwhelmed with sadness. I just couldn't. I had to leave the room, and I said to the guy, "What happened in this room?" He said, "That was the last holdout where the women and children were." And of course, that's where they were all.
Yeah. Well,
So
you think about that.
Feel stuff, energy. I believe in energy.
It's like people who go to the concentration camps. Everybody I've ever talked to says they can feel it. And you have to feel something that's dastardly and that, you know, vile. Things, it's hard to, like, you're right, it's hard to explain. Like karma. You believe in karma?
I do. And I believe in instant karma sometimes.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
It is. It's kind of like, you know, we talked about last time, people waiting tables and stuff where people are just assholes, and then hopefully something goes wrong to the waiter or to the person. There's always something, but it's like everybody, you know, it's interesting when people talk about karma, like, well, you deserved it. I don't know if you deserve anything. Well, yeah, you do. You deserve things bad in life if you're a bad person. But karma, it's interesting. A good example. I was talking to someone, I was saying this earlier, on the way here, talking to a friend. Known him for years. His wife had a job at a pharmaceutical company, or advertising. It was French. And for years, she made tremendous amounts of money. She dealt with cancer, and she still has it. And he stayed home and raised a son. And so now the son's out. So he goes to his wife, and he's like, you know, since you haven't worked in a couple of years, you need to get a job. And he's like, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, number one, it's your wife. Number two, she's still dealing with cancer. He goes, well, I raised her. I said, you're not going to get a conversation with me. So what do you think about, so what's your opinion on that? Whether it's a male or a female doing it, what is your opinion that if one person works while the child is growing up, goes to college, and the other stays home, I believe it's equal. Shouldn't be about who makes money. But once that child's gone, do you think the person who stayed home has the right to demand that the other person, you know, let them do whatever they want now?
I think staying home and running a household without help, without, you know, maids, this, that, whatever, and raising a children is the hardest job on the planet. And if you have to do both, I would have loved to have married someone who said, baby, stay home with the kid. Holy mother of God. I would have loved that. Every time I dropped my kid at the sitter, I had single mom guilt. I would have loved to have been a housewife. Yeah. Honey, I would have even worn a dress, kitten heels, and an apron. I would have.
Kitten heels?
Low, because I'm a big girl.
Okay. I didn't know if that was something.
No, I mean, I think it's the most noble job you can do.
I think women, being a mother is I don't care what religion, what race, what being a mother is the hardest job. I don't care.
And also, I'll tell you another job that doesn't get the pay it should is being a teacher. Being teachers, their pay is shit, unless you're a professor, PhD, whatever. But regular, like grade school teacher, high school teacher.
Yeah, but I think there's a big difference.
Okay.
Sometimes people get pregnant accidentally.
Okay.
People don't accidentally become teachers. You have people who are educated, they go to school to get their PhD, they get their master's. They know what's going to happen.
Right.
So it's a choice. And I could never be a teacher.
It's so noble.
It's an amazing thing.
They're paying for shit out of their own pocket.
Paying for stuff, but it's a choice. So when people, like any job, when people are going to complain about it, then you change what it is.
That's why right now you can't get enough nurses right now.
No.
After the pandemic, they're tapped out. They're done. My sister was a nurse for many years. That's when she retired. They didn't even give them masks, and their hours and hours, their faces are. I mean, it was horrific.
Well, you think about it, when the pandemic hit, who are in the forefront? Every hospital you go to, doesn't matter what it is, nurses, whether they're male or female.
Right.
The nurses. Without the nurses, most of the doctors are idiots. You know that, Doc. You are. You really can't run an office. You don't really know. My nephew's wife's one of her best friends. She's on the prenatal unit.
NICU, yeah.
Yeah. And she says sometimes the doctors will just say to her, you do when they can't make it, when the baby's about to come. And I'm like, what the fuck? I said, do you get paid that way? So a lot of doctors, they know if nurses went on strike right now, hospitals would shut down.
Oh, yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
And they work such long hours, and so many times somebody doesn't show up. So instead of having however many patients they have so many more.
Yeah.
I mean, God love it.
It's an injustice. And then again, here's some great things. There are those nurses. We have one with one of the places I do some work with. She's a travel nurse. And she travels. She makes tremendous amounts of money. She works 6 months out of the year. When she travels, they pay for her place to stay. She gets a stipend daily. It all depends on what you become an expert at. What depends what you want to do. But yeah, that's another field. There's a lot of fields that people aren't paid. Mm-hmm. But then again, we talked about this last time. A lot of people take jobs out of fear.
Right.
I mean, you think about it. If you work for a state, if the state has a problem, goes bankrupt or whatever, doesn't pay their bills, but people who work for the state, they're guaranteed a certain amount of money. They're guaranteed insurance. So they know what to base their lifestyle on.
Right.
And basically, if you work for the state, unless you murder someone or do something really drastic, you can't get fired.
Yeah.
And people know that, so people take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the worst job you ever did that you loved but got the worst amount of money for?
Waiting tables.
Yeah.
I liked interacting with people because every day was different. Every day was different. You're exercising, you're moving, you're playing. But what the restaurant paid me and the work I had to do, holy mother of God.
Well, it's people are ungrateful. They don't realize. And when you run a restaurant, there's people who run it, it's about numbers.
Yeah.
And
like any business. Anybody
can, they always say anybody can do what you can do type of thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of jobs out there that people have, God bless them, and they get by day to day, week to week.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of the downfalls of society today is that people aren't taking responsibility for their actions. I think that's there's no culpability.
Give an example.
Okay, for example, I had a roommate whose excuse for everything was, I have anxiety. Who the fucking motherfucker doesn't have fucking anxiety? He should walk in my shoes. And I have another friend who was always late for stuff and this and that. And she always said, well, you know how we do. To me, that's a big fuck you. You don't care about my time. Nobody's taking responsibility for anything. Walking into drugstores, shopping for free, taking everything. It's just, I don't want to be one of those old people. The world's gone to shit, but Jesus.
Well, there's things that have gone to shit. And there are people that every day, it doesn't matter what the situation is, you come across people who don't take responsibility.
Right.
And,
it's just not
but
up.
Again, it also depends on your upbringing, depends on family, depends on, the environment that people you spend time with. It's very interesting.
To be a 40-year-old human being, I have anxiety.
What kind of things did you ask him about?
See you next Tuesday so bad in my life.
But what kind of things did you ask him about that he would say he had anxiety? How simple were they?
To clean his room, to wipe, you know what I mean? Walk the dogs. I have anxiety. Honey, you're a white man, 40 years old with a good job in this country. You got anxiety? I'll give you anxiety. In good health. I just think it's a big cop-out. And yes, people do have anxiety. But I think you can't lean on it. You got to still nut up and do your shit. I'm not saying if you can't walk, you have to walk. I'm just saying that I think it's too easy an answer today now. Oh, I have anxiety.
Last month was Mental Health Month. And I think maybe just the last 2 years, people really started to take a look at mental health and realize that it's serious. That everybody deals with it. It affects more people than anybody. Everybody took a look at addiction, drug and alcohol, and this and that, and said, okay, well, you really don't wake up in the morning being happy, wanting to watch cartoons and say, you know what, I'm just going to have some fucking heroin and fentanyl. There's a mental health component to it.
Right.
And the governor passed this bill, I think 185, I can't remember the exact one, that allowed help for people who deal with mental health issues as well as people who deal with chemical dependency in the state of California. And there's nobody you're ever going to meet that doesn't deal with some type of anxiety.
Right.
And the reality is, you're right, many people use it as a crutch. And then it's kind of like certain things that if you use as a crutch, when someone else is really dealing with it, you don't know if they're telling the truth.
Right. So when you go to a hospital and you're in pain, they don't want to give you painkillers because of all the people who lie just to get the pills. You know, there's a drug out there right now called Trank.
Oh, yes.
You heard of this one?
I know it intimately.
It's in like 36 states now. People, if you don't know what Trank is, people are taking fucking horse tranquilizers, steers, bulls, whatever, injecting it, and it looks like The Walking Dead. They're like in weird positions, all hunched over in the street and stuff, and then they get like oozing sores, and if it's not tended to, they're getting appendages lobbed off, amputated.
Yeah.
What possesses a human being to take a horse tranquilizer?
It's the mental health aspect of it, because when you're searching for something to numb the pain and you don't have an answer, but somebody else has an answer, you think about it. We've got the tranquilizer. We got Trank. We've got certain things that other countries use. We have so many different things that people use to medicate.
Right.
But there's a big difference. When you use meds that are here to help you and you overdo them, then that's when there's a problem. Like fentanyl. Fentanyl has done wonders, fentanyl patches to help people, but now people are, overdosing and dying. They're mixing fentanyl and heroin. And really, you don't realize what the outcome's going to be. But Trank now, it's interesting because I work with the rehab industry. A lot of insurance companies are like, well, that's not a drug. We don't know much about that. Why would we pay for a client to be in treatment? It's kind of like, are you that fucking ignorant? These are kids dying,
and
men and women.
They look like zombies.
Yeah,
it's
amazing. Well, you take a look at this. You take someone who's a crystal meth addict, and you see them, the scabs that lose their teeth, the whole body's change, and that's just crystal meth.
Right.
And it's funny, when people go into treatment, all insurance companies say is they can sleep it off. You don't need to detox something. It destroys so much of your life, and then you have to rebuild your life. But you have these drugs that are out there that people just try because they're always looking. Right. I mean, you have people that go out there and smell their own feces.
I'm
literally
so afraid of drugs. I just got a new primary, and I don't sleep well because of health issues, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I take trazodone now, and it helps. But he said, you want Ambien? Is it Ambien? Is that what it's called? For when you really can't sleep. And I said, not yet, because I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid of taking something that I could get addicted to it.
Do you have an addictive behavior?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, your opinion. Do you think, like, I work with therapists, and I literally don't know many therapists who aren't, as lack of a better term, fucked up or as many problems as the clients they treat. Mm-hmm. Many people get into it because of an issue they've never really resolved, but they want to help people. And some are great. But therapy, do you think that therapy is good for people? Do you think that therapy can help you? Do you think that therapy is bullshit? What are your thoughts on therapy?
I think therapy's good. I think therapy is good. It's so above my pay rate to speak on that because I don't have a lot of experience with it.
Have you had therapy?
I have.
And how did it do for you?
It helped a little, but I think I need probably around the clock therapists, 24/7, a team on me. So I took, and I loved the therapist I had, but it got to a certain point where I felt I wasn't growing anymore. So maybe I need somebody else. I don't know. I think we all need some kind of help. I think we all need a team. What do they call it today? You ride or die. Somebody you can call and be like, girl, help. I just need, it's somebody who's going to be there.
I think the funny thing is, it's what I always tell people about therapists. Therapists are very smart people. They memorize things. They pass their tests. Now, do they have people skills? That's another story. It's very hard to find those that have people skills. And what's harder is, like you just said, you saw a therapist for a period of time, and then you thought that you'd hit a wall. Mm-hmm. There are people who see the same therapist 3-4 years.
Oh my God!
But they still have the same thing. You know, I listened to Howard Stern a while back, and I don't know, he sees a therapist once or twice a week, or I'm not sure what the deal is anymore. But you see the same person over and over. Where's the common denominator? It's you as a client.
Right. And how
Are you really wanting to learn? Are you really wanting to change? Are you really wanting to go explain something? Because there's a lot of things that people don't understand when they go to see a therapist. A lot of things have to fit. It can't just be because they're a PhD or they're a therapist.
Right.
And again, there's a lot of therapists that cross the line. There's a lot of therapists who don't really know what they're doing because they don't have the people skills.
And I think to stay with the same person, and again, it could be me, but like all my years of like waiting tables, no matter how experienced you are, any new house you start in, you have to fucking go through training.
Yep.
I never wanted to stick with the same trainer because, like, guess what I'm going to get every night? The same fucking point of view. I want to always have somebody different. Now, is that my ADD or is that my willingness to want to learn? I don't know.
Don't you eat eggs every night like me?
Not every night. No.
Certain things we're good
Tonight
at.
I'm going to try my air fryer. God help me. If you see a fire truck, you know it's, you know.
I see a fire truck, I'm like, good luck. So we started something new that we talked about before, bitching in the kitchen. And the reason I like that bitching in the kitchen, I think there's 3 places in a house that are just, or an apartment or wherever the hell you live. Your kitchen is important, family's in there, you talk about a lot. The bathroom, for many different reasons. And the bedroom. And a lot of people now, because of technology and television, they spend more in their bedroom and stuff. But bitching in the kitchen is just a segment to where we just fucking go off on anything we want. So what is your bitching today? Let's.
I'm sick and tired, because I'm doing this right to fucking camera, of men regulating women's bodies. I'm so fucking over it. Now, I heard Biden just passed a law that if a woman seeks help, she's pregnant, and her life is in jeopardy, that a hospital is allowed to perform an abortion.
Yes.
Why did we need that fucking law? Why did we need that law? Why were people denying women what they needed in the first place? Why are men making laws for women's bodies? That's my bitch today.
But you look at this, do you realize how many women are in on trying to make the laws to restrict women from doing what they want? Men run the country, but you have a lot of the women out there as well who backed Roe versus Wade, getting rid of it. So it's a combination of both. And you think about it's a horrific thing for anybody to tell somebody what they have to do, especially tell a woman, because a woman goes through what us men are never going to experience any of it. And it is hard. It's hard to accept. But when you also have women who are willing to jump on the bandwagon and back what these fucking male politicians, it's horrific. Yeah. And it's not going to stop, because also when it comes to religion, back to religion, you have some religions where the women will play second fiddle to the man because that's the way the Bible says. Really? No, that's the way the Bible was written. You can interpret it whatever way you want. If you choose to allow someone to tell you what to do, if you choose not to wear certain clothes, or you have to cut your hair, or you have to do this, do that, whatever, because first of all, I don't see any of that stuff where God says this. The men who wrote the fucking books say this.
I think if a man's body was the body that carried a baby, if a man's body was a body that could get pregnant, baby, there would be free condoms, free childcare, free, you know what I mean? I think it would be a whole different story.
Well, I agree with you. I think it's interesting you say that about when you have men and women now, transgender, or men wanting to have surgery, women wanting to have surgery, and you have women who transition into men, and the men are having babies, and people saying they're biologically still going to have a baby. And that's an important thing to really look at. Is everybody's got a difference of opinion, but when you stop people from who they actually are, who the hell is to tell us?
DeSantis did it in Florida. It is passed.
They did pass it for sure.
Children, I got a note right here, because I take notes. I'm fucking old. I don't trust myself. Where is it? DeSantis passed law on May 17th. Gender affirming treatments to minors is banned. It is not allowed. Drag shows, banned. Bathroom usage, you have to go in for the sex you were assigned at birth. This is passed on May 17th, unless TikTok lied to me. Because I can't
Please, for the love of fucking God, get your information elsewhere. I think it's a beautiful place. TikTok's a beautiful cloud to be on.
We can Google it right now. I don't have my phone on me. It's over there. But we can
But remember,
Google it.
just because a governor passes something, it's got to be voted too, I would think. Or no, usually something's voted on, then the governor signs off. But, you think about this. Okay, here's another thing when it comes to talking about women. What do you think about escorts? The escort industry. What do you think about, you have young girls who are out there, and women of all age, young boys and men, who are selling a good time for compensation, and people have a hard time with that. And if you look at it, many of these young ladies and guys out there, they don't know shit about what an escort is. Right. They see that, hey, somebody's going to pay me for something I like to do, and I've already going to do it, so why not get paid? But then again, you have people out there saying, well, that shouldn't be. What are your thoughts? My
thought is, if you're of a legal age, and now that I'm an old broad, I'd love to say 21, but I'm sure adult is 18, even though their minds aren't there yet, even though their bodies are there at 12. I think if it's legal, you should be able to do it. Now, like any other, I think it should be somehow monitored.
Should we legalize prostitution and escorting?
I think that'd be the best fucking thing you could do, because it would save lives. I think it would save lives.
Well, it would save lives, but you think about it this way. If a man sleeps around, he's a hero. If a woman sleeps around,
she's a slut.
But think about this. Who are the ones that call her the slut most?
The men.
Other women.
Oh, that's bitches and hoes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And the men, it's such a double standard. And look, I don't care. I think it's a great thing if you want to do something. And if it's what you want to do, you do it. And these are fantasies people have too.
Oh, honey,
everybody
I've
has
watched the documentaries on the bunny ranch. I find it fascinating. Yeah. I find it fascinating. I wouldn't even mind being the old mama that makes sure everybody's clean and safe and have they eaten, and then they do the fucking tea party at 4 o'clock on Tuesdays or whatever. I think it'd be a hoot and a holler. Yeah. Because they're in control. They're in control. They got panic buttons. They got big fucking gagoons there if they have a problem.
But you're right. Things regulated would be good. I mean, you think about, we have marijuana laws that the states have, but the feds, it's illegal. But the states have them. So, again, it's people telling women and men telling women what they need to do with their bodies. Because why would someone have the need to tell you how to live your life? Think about it. Mm-hmm. What's going on in their life that they have the need to tell you how to live your life? Right. And then when you peel back the onion, you see the things that they've done. Because all of us have done something. All of us have some skeleton. I picked up a guy on
Santa Monica Boulevard once because I was moving. And
to help you.
Yeah. Oh, and okay. I mean, this is before I knew about like the Home Depot or whatever you pull up to. Picked up, maybe I was moving with a friend of mine who is gay, and it was West Hollywood, and he said, "Oh, I know where we get a mover." And guess what? That kid used to be. That's what he did, but he made more money turning tricks. But for that day, for that time, that's what he did for us.
Yeah.
Not the sex, the moving. But I'm totally okay with adults. Not the kiddies.
Oh yeah, no. That's just wrong. I mean, fantasies are fantasies. Live out your fantasies, but not with someone under 18,
and that
male or
human
female.
Trafficking right now, I think this country is getting hit one of the hardest with it right now.
It's out there.
And God love people like Ashton Kutcher, who uses his fame or whatever and is trying to do something about this. And I know there's a bunch of them out there.
Well, I think that it's like we said, or talked about last time, some of the greatest things we never know about. There's nothing wrong with picking up a cause, but why do you pick up causes? For publicity? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you read where he's done a lot, and he's been doing it for a long time, so you're pretty sure there's something realistic to it. But when you see so many celebrities or people in the entertainment industry that jump on a cause that keeps them in the public eye, you have so many even have nonprofits. Then when you see, it's like athletes have all these nonprofits, and there's no money that's gone anywhere.
Oh, I love when you
all
find
that
out
type
about
of shit.
something
That's
and it wasn't
and you did it.
advertised,
Yeah,
and
you
it's
did it just for the hell of it.
Yeah,
and that happens a lot.
They can.
And that's you can't negate the good by realizing, oh, this person's going to do that.
Right.
Because a lot of people have great ideas. It's how do you put it down in writing, take it from writing, find the people to help you, and implement it. Because we do have the trafficking, we do have child pornography, you have all this stuff, and it's still there. It's like with the technology we have.
Don't, if there's a dollar bill on your windshield, don't touch it. It's drugged. If there's a zip tie on your car, you've been targeted. Now, I don't really worry about that stuff today. Ain't nobody looking at me. But when I see these TikToks, I send them to my sisters with kids. women, I want my friends to know about this, you know?
Well, let me ask you a question. Here's another thing, since we're talking about God and all this stuff. You ever have any friends, or you ever say, I've never said this and I never would, you know, I found God? Because we're talking about the Bible. I always love when someone did something wrong or their life went haywire. I found Jesus. Jesus is in me. I can feel Jesus now. Well, where the fuck were you think he was the rest of your life? But it's always like someone has to get to that negative thing, something that didn't go right, or they want to impress other people to where they say they found Jesus.
Right.
I don't understand how people are that shallow and ignorant to keep saying, well, now I found Jesus. You know, I went to prison, I found Jesus.
Right, and they're born again and this and
Yeah,
that.
so what is your take on that stuff?
Well, I do a lot of reading. I go to a lot of Zooms and stuff, and people always want to talk about having a spiritual experience. And I'm always like, where's mine? Why? Because I'm thinking the clouds got apart, the thunderbolt, the hand coming down, release the pigeons, but it's not that. My spiritual experience is I can't do things like I used to do in my 20s. I can't shit on people. I just can't do it today.
Did you get paid for that?
But I'm bummed. Thank you. We'll be here all afternoon.
No. So what do you mean you can't shit on people? Explain that to me.
To do things that are just not right, like hit somebody's car and not leave them a note. Like,
oh, you're talking about you need to do what's right.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that I can't do it in my heart now, and it's been many years that I can't. I think that's got to be some kind of spiritual thing.
Well, it's growth. I mean, you grow as a person. I'll never forget, I went to Florida and I had this young girl that came out to stay with me once and picked her up at the airport. And I was chewing gum. So I spit the gum out and I missed a trash can. You would have sworn to Jesus I had just committed genocide someplace. She stopped at the airport, called me. What are you doing? Do you know birds are going to die? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. She goes, so I went and picked it up, and she just went ballistic on me. I said, okay, I said I meant to hit the trash can, but you didn't. And I said, no birds were killed during this experience. Right. She literally came to the house. The next day she got back on a plane.
Wow.
Because it was like, wow, you're going to be that crazed. And I can understand being concerned, but, you know, I did the right thing. And that's another thing, too. I guess we're different in the fact that, you know, to me, I truly believe an eye for an eye. But also I believe an eye for let me wait a little while before I take that other eye, you know, because you just don't know. I mean, because people say turn the cheek. I still can't get that fucking expression. Why would I turn the cheek when you did something so diabolical to me?
Well, I was raised that way, too.
Which
Fuck
way?
me once, shame on you. Fuck me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
I was definitely raised that way. But today, when somebody fucks me over, I'm just like, you know what? I don't need them in my life anymore. Bless them. Change me, honey. I cannot. I don't know if it's because I just don't have the strength today.
Okay, so you don't need them in your life, but how long do they sit in that? What's that expression? In your craw? Catch your craw?
It does sit in my, when something sits in your mind for a while. But how do I get them from not sitting in my mind? I work a program.
Guys, I think the one thing that a lot of people want is to have that final say. If you look at it this way, if I need something from you to move on, I'll never move on.
Right.
Absolutely. You ever have someone apologize to you with a smirk on their face? You ever have someone apologize knowing the only reason they apologize? It's like kids in school. Where you got to apologize or you're going to have detention.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't mean to.
It's insincere.
Yeah. But people then accept it. No, right. I can't say I'm sorry to someone if I'm not.
Right.
And I won't.
Right.
Whatever the consequences. I won't lie about that to pretend that, you know, I'm the good person.
I won't say I'm sorry if I'm not. I am human. I mean, I may or may not have been on a Zoom meeting and yelled at somebody thinking my mic was muted, even by name.
What did you say?
Shut the fuck up, by name. And I didn't realize that my mic was, you know. But here's the thing. I never apologized because I wasn't sorry.
How many people were on that?
Freak. 100 and something.
And did anybody else tell her to?
No, but people told me, you know, you weren't muted, and And I said, well,
but see,
I have many opinions.
Here's what I look at. It's kind of like, I think I've said this before, that we've talked about it. I was at a restaurant and the kid was making noise, so I said something to the parent. If you don't step forward to tell the people that are your friends, your family, the ones you love, something that might be negative in their life, how are you being a friend? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we just have to say the truth. And however they take it, because I think it's interesting that when we have really good friends, or we have family members and somebody shares something, they expect you to back them even if they're wrong. They expect you to say, "Oh, I understand, honey."
Right,
or
like
I understand.
7th grade.
Yeah, and
oh, let's go beat them up.
That's not real. Well, that's not bad. I mean, still, that violence does pay. It does pay for certain things in life, because you know what you're getting into.
Right.
And I think a lot of people know what they're getting into, but they're looking for someone to help them stay dysfunctional, and that's back to a therapist.
Right. And sometimes I remember once being on a flight. My daughter was very young at the time. She used to bounce. She used to just bounce. That was very common to her. She bounced. And because I raised her, I wasn't even fucking aware of it anymore. And so this man that was sitting next to her said to me, "She's been doing that for 20 minutes. How much longer is she going to do that?" And I said, "You've been fucking timing her." So I just couldn't get, I wasn't even aware. And so the guy moved his seat. Great, girl, bye. Why didn't you tell me at minute 2? Why didn't you for 20 minutes, this guy's clocking my kid going bink, 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 and I don't notice.
It's funny. We have this expression in society now called the Karens, where these Karens are just the worst fucking human beings. Doesn't care who you are, Karen. You could be a male Karen in my version.
Yeah.
But I think it's always interesting when you look at the situations and it gives someone something to do. You ever have that friend in your life that, like, she's a sergeant of arms at a fucking meeting or whatever the hell.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that person takes that seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And if you got a
single file. Yeah.
We're adults here. But sadly, it gives those people something to look forward to. It gives them a purpose.
Yeah.
It's why I think a lot of the support meetings, a lot of people don't get a lot of it, but they keep going because they're around like-minded people, and hopefully sooner or later they get something. But Friday night, gotta go at 7 o'clock, can't miss it. And then the whole week they're just a fucking douchebag of a human being.
Right. I mean,
And
I worked in a restaurant where this day crew would be so mean to the kitchen guys, talk to them like they were animals or whatever. These men are working first of all, they're behind a hot grill with a knife. Why are you yelling at them? Working so hard. And this is the only place that these men have somewhere where they can get respect. I would never, ever, if there was a mistake on an order, I would never walk in like these girls. "Look, you fucked this up." I'd be like, "Honey, can you do me a favor?"
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Did you do it? It's probably me. I probably pushed the wrong button, and I never had a problem with them. But these bitches would go in there like they had to be right. And I think at this age of my life, I live by, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Both. And there you go. Well, look at it this way. It's like, this is something I work with people on. You have your family of origin. Mm-hmm. Then you go to work and you also have the same, it's like a family, your work family.
Right.
So you have that person at work that's the authority figure like mom and dad. You have your best friends that are like your brothers and sisters. And so if you look at the family tree of how you grew up, if you don't have something certain, like the leadership of a parent, you're going to track to someone you work with and make them that. Mm-hmm. You're going to track to someone who's your best friend. I've never had a sister. Mm-hmm. You're my sister. I never had that growing up. And so you never had it. It's fucking wonderful. But I think in the workplace, it doesn't matter if it's a restaurant, drug and alcohol, hospital, major corporation. People look at these people, but the sad part is you're taught as a child that you need to respect whatever your parents tell you. There's so many dysfunctional parents out there, sick fucking parents out there. You got to at some point be able to realize that your parents are wrong, and it's okay to admit it. It's okay to talk about it.
Question authority. Don't tell your kids to always listen to an adult. Guess what you're opening up the door for?
A lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And a lot of dysfunction. But I think that many people choose people based upon what they're losing in their own personal life. And you hear people say, "I never had a brother." Like me, I've never had a dad. Obviously he brought me into the world, but we grew up without a dad and we saw what other people, and then I always tell people, I don't know what I'm missing because I never had it.
Right. I never had a brother, and I've always had male friends.
Yeah.
Always had male friends.
And you think about it.
I find them more fun than women a lot of times.
It's interesting. We really are. Yes. Just ask us. We're egotistical assholes. But I know we're searching for something. And it's one of the things that, drug and alcohol, people come into treatment. They always meet the love of their life sometimes, or they meet a best friend in treatment. I'm like, you realize you're like-minded people, a lot of fucking issues. It's a little dysfunctional to think that you're going to meet the love of your life. Now, you possibly can.
I think that's why they say you shouldn't date for a year. so that you get out of that
Well,
situation?
I think there's a lot of things many people haven't done in life, so therefore they have a reason to do something without having complete knowledge of what the outcome will be.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. Everybody's lonely. Hell, I'm lonely. So what do? I do things sometimes that aren't healthy. I do things that are good for me. But if you know the reasons why you're lonely, then you try to find some solutions. And we don't really live in a solution. If you think about, we have all these, in this country, we have, how many self-help books we got? How many
All
fucking Tony Robbins books do you have? Everybody keeps going. Well, you got to keep going to a seminar to make your life better. Hate to break the news to you there, Tiger.
I think you need community. I know that when I'm like doing a play or on a show or something like that, I feel so good. It's the community, like-minded people working at a greater good. Even if it's just a show.
But see, nothing is just A. Because you meet some of the best people in your life. You build some of the best relationships.
Oh, my God. My favorite
You hear the
people.
greatest stories. Yeah, you hear the greatest stories. You relate to them. And it's hard to find people like us in many different ways. And we go to bed at night feeling one way. We wake up feeling another way. But the more interactions you have with other people, you're going to be healthier. The more positive ones. The more chances you have. I love meeting people from different countries because to hear about their country, to hear about their culture, to hear about what is so different than here because I'm so used to what's here.
Right.
And then you have people here that don't want people coming here because you're from another country. Everybody that ever came here is from another country.
Thank
for
you.
Mother of Jesus fucking
you're
God's
100%
sake.
Native American.
Yeah. And it's just the same. But I really believe that my opinion is that going back to what we talked about earlier, when people want to be heard and they want to be respected and they want to be given a voice, don't negate those voices that are trying to negate yours. It's never going to work. It just fuels their power, their strength, because everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows what the outcome's going to be for them. If you're not willing to learn and to change, like I always tell people, I'm a very opinionated person. But if you can help me change my opinion, I will love you forever. I just want to know. Like, I'm leaving here believing a little bit more in your alien friends and all those different things. No, seriously, because if you look at it, I can't deny what you're saying because I don't have proof. I can sit here like an asshole and say, doesn't exist. Right. But if I don't open my mind for that, how am I going to open up my mind for new friends, for possibilities of different work?
I don't want to be that old lady who's, I've always done it that way. I don't want to be that person.
I
at least want to say, I'll think about that. I'll try it.
That's it.
I don't have to stick with it, but I could try it.
It's so funny.
Open to
There's a
learn
gentleman,
something new.
dear friend of mine who passed away, a mentor, Dr. John Gardine. And he would always say to me, Dennis, don't talk. Walk away. Think about it. Wait 12 hours, then reply. I never took that advice a lot. But then again, when I did, because we always want to say what we want to say now. It's like I was talking with Jai and Mark earlier. If you're in a friendship or in a relationship and something's wrong, the first 5 minutes, you pretty much get a lot out. Anything after that might be just a waste of your time.
Right.
Unless one person's mute and they don't talk at all. But, when you get repetitious and it's the same thing over and over, you literally lose people.
I love the 12-hour rule. I have a 24-hour rule sometimes. And my thing is I'll say, I got to look at my book. I'll get back to you. Well, let me think about that.
Wait a second. You told me you got to look at your book all the fucking time when I talked. Wow. What a friend. Now I know. You say that.
But it puts that pause because when I react, it's never a good decision. I don't want to do something for somebody with somebody and then have a fucking resentment that I'm going to eat over or do whatever over. So I take that breath and then I think about it. And this is something I want to do. Yeah. But I can't do it in the moment. I'm Sicilian. I'm very reactionary. So I would rather take that breath. That's what I work at. Yeah. That's my stack of self-help books. No. Slow the fuck down, Tiger.
And it's a good advice for people. That one of the things I wanted to let you know that, we talked last week about, new career for you and everything. So I found a place, it's called the Treasure Chest on Santa Monica Boulevard, and they're having an opening.
Treasure Chest or Pleasure Chest?
It's close to that. It's one of those two. Take a fucking guess. You already know about it.
I'm sure.
Did you apply? Because they have an opening.
The Pleasure Chest was when I moved out here in 1989. I knew the Pleasure Chest.
Did you do more research on our topic about possibly being a dominatrix?
That was all you, baby.
Wait, baby. I'm not the one that said I thought I would do it.
I said when many years ago, because you have cool outfits
Yeah, but after
You get
Jai
paid a
told
lot of
us
money,
all
they
about
don't
the lady.
touch you, and you get people to clean your fucking toilet and lick your boots. What's better than that? I don't know.
Don't you still need that?
I'm just saying.
No, I just think it's interesting. We're just trying to help each other out here. So really, when you tell me that you got to look at your calendar, it's like you just need time out.
I always say I want to look at my book.
I know.
I don't care, and that's, it's not like I'm old. I don't know how to put it in my phone. I choose not to. I choose to have a book, so that makes me pause.
I've learned many times taking a pause is beneficial, but I'm like, it's so hard. But you live life, you learn. And the lessons are fucking.
The other day for 45 minutes trying to get a doctor's appointment for something. I finally got the appointment. I was so excited. I hang up and realized I'll be on the fucking East Coast, motherfuck. So because I didn't look at my book. So.
That's for all the shit you've done to people. Well, anyhow, this has been a fun day today.
Are we there?
Yeah,
oh, we're there.
Yeah, we're there. It's been, time flies when we're just talking and not knowing what the
shit.
fuck's going on.
You know what? I hit stuff on my list today. I'm very excited. We hit a lot of stuff on my list. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.